How you doing? My name is Kevin O'Hara from alcoholmastery.com. Today's video is about quitting drinking alcohol or quitting smoking or achieving anything that you want in your life, right? Calls for unshakable determination, right? You have to have a determination in order to achieve the result, in order for you to get there, right? Otherwise, you're either not going to get there or you're going to get there and it's going to be like rubbish when you get there, right? It's not going to be the thing that you thought it was going to be. Now, I think one of the greatest analogies for persistence is the persistence of water and how water can erode. And there's no bigger monument to that than the Grand Canyon. I've never been there, but the Grand Canyon is 450 kilometers long, right? It's 29 kilometers wide at its widest point, and it's 1.8 kilometers deep at its deepest point. 1.8 kilometers, right? 1,800 meters. And that is all due to the fact of the Colorado River, to the unbreakable persistence, to the unshakable persistence of the Colorado River over millions of years. And what that's done is, you know, when you go down that length of that depth, 1.8 kilometers, you're basically, that's eroding, I think, over a couple of million years or whatever it is that it's been doing it, the work of the earth over a couple of billion years. You know, it's taken a couple of billion years for all those layers of rock and soil to be laid down, and a couple of million years of persistence to uncover and to dig down into that depth. So, you know, there can be no more of a monument on this planet to persistence than that. You know, probably is, but it's my personal one anyway. Something that I'd love to see. I always remember Evel Knievel attempting to jump it. Nutcase. Just do you a quote here as well from Calvin Coolidge, right? He said, "Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. The slogan, 'Press on,' has solved and always will solve the problems of the human race." The definition, you know, by I think the Merriam-Webster dictionary, is the fact of continuing in an opinion or course of action in spite of difficulty or opposition, right? Now, for me, persistence is the defining thread which runs through all success in life, right? All successful people, all successful achievements, whether it be, you know, somebody putting a man on the moon, or you know, the advance of medicine, the advance of science, the advance of knowledge in general is through the persistence of individual people, of individual men and women throughout the ages. You know, Edison once said that it took him 10,000 attempts not to invent the light bulb before he found the one attempt to invent the light bulb. Colonel Sanders of Kentucky Fried Chicken offered his recipe up 1,000 times before, I think 1,006 times, I think it was, before somebody said yes and took it off him on the 1,007th time. And that was late in his life as well. So that's a monument in itself to persistence, you know. Anyone who has ever stopped taking alcohol, stopped taking any drug, you know, whether it's alcohol, nicotine, heroin, angel dust, cocaine, whatever it is, you know, stopped with any bad habit, right, has done so through persistence, you know, through unswerving persistence. Anyone who's ever successful at doing it, you know. And that's basically what you have to do if you want to quit this drug, right? If you want to get away from this drug, if you want to get away from the life that your drinking and drugging behavior has brought around for you, you've got to have that unshakable persistence. You know, there's really no other way of doing this. So how do you do it? Now, I'm not going to go into a really long video here about, I'll do another video on some tips on getting persistence and keeping it in your life, pursuing the things that you need to pursue in order to have that unshakable persistence. But the first thing that you need to know, I think the ultimate tool that you can ever have in this fight is to have a reason why you're doing this, to understand why you want to stop, you know, whether that's for health reasons, for family reasons, for relationship, for job reasons, for whatever thought reasons you want to do something in your life. That has to be your number one priority, is to figure out specifically, very specifically, why you want to quit. You know, saying to yourself, well, I'm doing it for my health is not good enough. You have to say, well, you know, drinking alcohol has caused X, Y, and Z to happen in my life, and this is why I'm doing it. My reason was because I didn't want to be a bad influence on my son, because every time I drank in front of him, I was encouraging him to drink. You know, it was, for me, it's just as bad as a heroin addict shooting up in front of their children. You know, that image might be a lot stranger, or it might be a lot further from our realistic view on life, right? But when you take the two things side by side, the guy who's drinking and the guy who's shooting heroin, there's only the needle that's separating them. So not many parents would shoot up heroin in front of their children if they were using heroin. But how many parents drink in front of their children? That is what I was I look back on my life, and I didn't stop until my son was in his 20s. And that's forever to my own personal shame. But there's nothing I can do about that now, you know. All I can do is to try and do my best to be a good role model, to sort of push him towards stopping drinking and living a good life, and sort of get rid of all the bullshit that our culture forces onto our children day in and day out, generation after generation. So you have to understand your reason why first and foremost. Then you have to make a plan of how you're going to do this, where you're going to go, what you want to achieve. Once you know where you want to go, you have to have that final destination in mind. Then you can make your plan and plan it out with as much detail as you can, you know. Figure out where you want to go, and then how you're going to get there, and break it down into manageable steps. And finally, take action. You have to do. You can't just think, you can't just write. You know, you've got to take action, and you've got to review your plans often, and review your actions often, so that you know that you're taking the right direction, you know. You're not going to know at the beginning where you're going, you know. Not really. You have a general idea of where you're going, right? You have a general idea of where your plan's going to take you. But, you know, the future has a way of throwing up something completely different. I'm 4 years into this, and 4 years ago, I wouldn't have had a clue where I would have been today, right? I'm in the same general area, right? I've lived in this place now for the past 5 years, right? So I've walked in these hills for the past 5 years. And if you'd have said to me, well, do you think you'll still be there? I probably would have said, yeah, and I would have been right? But I might not have been. Could have moved somewhere else. But if you'd have said to me, I'm going to be this way, thinking this way, I'm going to have these types of thoughts, I'm going to be starting a degree and doing a degree, then I would have said no. You know, it's not going to happen. So you have your plan, you adjust along the way, and you keep moving forwards, onwards and upwards. that's it for today. Take care of yourself. I'm Kevin O'Hara for alcoholmastery.com. Stay safe, onwards and upwards. Good luck to you. Bye now. Bye.